start again. Oh, for God's sake, Gary, come on, focus.
Deliver, Gary.
It's Friday and welcome to the Tea and Trails podcast. Thanks so much for joining us and thanks to all our partners and patrons too. We have got Mountain View Outdoor Active, Veloforte, Silver Active, Route the Centurion Running Store, Protein Rebel, Sportshoes.com, Big Bobble Hats, X Miles, and Fawnside Farm Cottages. Pop over to Patreon and check them out. Every week we get messages from our listeners using their discount codes and saving far more than the cost of joining Patreon. I absolutely love it when we see a bit of Patreon value in action. Also, pop over to Summit Crazy if you would like some awesome Tea and Trails merch. I saw a lovely red technical tee out on the trails at the weekend. You know what, that made my day.
Kids have got their eye on that. They're like, Mum, come on, why can't you get us that? And I'm like, no. It comes out my salary, kids. You're not having you're not having tea. If you want it, and come out your pocket money.
Yeah, we don't get the Patreon perks, but yeah, that made my day, Eddie. When I think you must have shared it on the Tea and Trails story. I loved it. Thanks for doing that.
Welcome to episode 30. Hello to the old faithfuls, to the new, young, fresh listeners. You don't know what you got in store for you. And to the bingers who are going right through the back catalogue, we see you. We see Run to the Hill still in the charts, creeping up there. This week, I'll be mainly trying to put into words the love I felt for our little podcast at my last two running festivals, talks, forays, Gary. Also, how disappointed people were that you weren't there. It must be like being Ant and Dec, I reckon. People are like, if they see the one, they go, where's Dec? I'm also going to try and explain how tired I am with all this socializing and talking. Oh my God, we talk about the salmon lips a lot, Gary and I, when we're like, I don't know where we got salmon from. Anyway, and we catch up with the mighty and young Jack Scott, and no doubt probably listen to how Gary says his week all went wrong, but he still managed near 100 miles and about 15,000 feet of it. Am I right, Gary? Is that the way we're going with the next section?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. With the first news I've got to say is we mentioned it last week actually, but now the website is live. So yeah, pop over to teaandtrails.com. I think it's good to have the website. You know, we share the link tree, and I think some people go, what the hell is a link tree? They see that link and they want yeah, I didn't, I think it was Ross Jenkins was the first person to mention link tree, and I was just like, what the hell is a link tree? But 2 years later we now have a website, so yeah, pop over to teaandtrails.com.
What are you hoping with the website, Gary? I mean, I love it. What are we hoping people will do with the webpage?
Well, it's just a little hub of all of our information. Really.
Hub, love it. If ever I had a cafe, I thought I'd like to call it like the Trail Hub.
Yeah,
like that.
I like it. I like the sound of that.
It sounds lovely, doesn't it? I'm obsessed with cafes because I'm in London, and basically all we're doing, Bryn and I are doing, is going from cafe to cafe.
That sounds expensive.
Anyway, carry on.
Cafe. That sounds expensive. What I do? I started the week actually. So, like I said, always Mondays and Tuesdays, and sometimes Wednesdays are a bit busy with work and podcast details. But I did do, and I think you will chat about this too. Inspired by Andy Berry. Smashed a 15% treadmill run. 3,000 feet for me, though, so not quite your stats. And I watched...
Basically, I just looked to see what you did, and I just made sure I gave it an extra 20%.
But I loved it. I'm so in love with the treadmill. And I'm thinking about these few weeks ahead now that I'm taper time. I'm looking at some of the sessions, and they don't really seem specific to the Lakeland 100. So I'm thinking, this is the time where, specificity. So yeah, maybe I might swap a few of these 600s and 400s out and stuff like that for a bit more treadmill action. But what I did do,
well, just do them uphill. Just do 600 uphill.
Yeah,
400 uphill.
Yeah, well, I do have a few uphill sessions, but yeah, I'm going to tweak with it because I'm just so in love with the treadmill. And what I did do as a distraction, I downloaded an Amazon Prime show called The Boys, and I'm certain you will not have seen it, Eddie. And on reflection, it's not suitable viewing for a public forum like a gym. Luckily, the little iPhone screen is tiny, and there was only me on the treadmill, so nobody was peeping over my shoulder.
Was it naked flesh?
Well, there's superhumans, and so there was a super orgy. People getting lasered in half, lots of inappropriate
How can you
stuff.
watch that on the treadmill? Because I'd be like,
Well, it made the hour go very quick.
I watch UTMB motivational hour and stuff like that. Gary, you're like the people on the aeroplane when they're watching, like the guy sitting next to me there's like a hardcore sex scene going on. And I was like,
Well, that
Evie was the
mega.
other side. And I was like, when do we go? It's quite a big, like, and then my eyes kept going to it.
Well, yeah, I was really sensitive. As soon as I put it on, it was quite gentle, and then it went to the super orgy, and then people started exploding and stuff, and I was thinking, oh god.
Were you like, Eddie would not watch this? No, if it's not suitable for Eddie, it's not suitable for the gym. I think that's what we can say.
But I did enjoy it, and I think, well, I picked up a bug, and I thought initially I'd just overdone it on the treadmill. I kind of ran myself down a bit. So for 2 days, I felt a bit ropey, so didn't do much, I think, until about Friday, and then I did. Well, I really enjoyed it because I did 10 times 2-minute hills. If you have a session on your plan, and maybe you feel a bit unmotivated, 10 times 2 minutes, smashed it. You can just really
90
get your head
second
down.
or 2 minutes. I give that to people a lot that are coming back into training or perhaps learning to do the sessions, because 90 seconds, 2 minutes, it can be as hard or not as hard as you want it to be. But as soon as you start, you're near the end.
Yeah.
A 12-minute rep, as Bryn learnt this morning around Hyde Park, is a long time if you decide to start off a little bit fast. And then you keep going, how long? And I've got the watch. You got no watch on.
And another good tip, actually, so for my 2 minutes, it was just up a hill. And technically, I suppose the hill was 2 minutes and 10 seconds. So you can see the end in sight. You're not praying for the watch to beep. It's just, it was quite a forgiving, nice, easy to get my head around session. But I was feeling pretty good about myself. But then on Sunday, as part of my long run, I saw some dude running up this hill. We have this little hill called Heart Attack Hill. It's not a huge hill, but it's very steep. About 2 minutes. If you say, well, for someone like me running up in zone 4, he wasn't going in zone 4, but he did 100 reps of Heart Attack Hill. And I saw him on 50. And then I saw somebody on social media later on had shared the post. So they bumped into him later on in the day when he actually did.
So how did he was doing 100? Did he tell you as soon as?
Because he told me as I ran past him, I said, oh, well done. And he was like, I'm on 50. I'm like, didn't register at first. And then when I bumped into him again, I'm like, did you say you've just done 50 or you're doing 50? I'm like, no, I'm going for 100. I've done 75 in the past, but today I'm hoping to get 100. And
what's the climbing of the hill?
Oh, it's probably only maybe 200 feet from the very bottom to the top. That's so it's not huge. Wow. But it's like I say, it must be like
100
45
would make
degrees.
It huge.
Yeah, I think he was there for 10 hours. I think he was there for 10 hours doing this. And I've always puzzled. It's a big physical and mental achievement. But what was his thought process? Why did he want to do that? What was he hoping to achieve? I don't know if he's training for something. It was this whole big kind of mental battle that he was trying to get through. But yeah, either way, really, really impressive. And I said I was going to go to the lakes. I didn't go to the lakes, Eddie.
I don't have any sympathy for you, Gary. You spend your whole life running around the Dean with Rex.
I know. Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. But yeah, so I didn't go to the lakes. Just life happens, super busy.
Yeah.
And that was my long run on Sunday, which was nice. Just total fluke. I ran down the old railway lines and up the coast and then up through the Dean. And in Hartlepool at the moment, not anymore, but they had a tall ships gathering, sort of big old sailing ships. Yeah. Beautiful. And on Sunday, they're all setting sail back out to wherever they're going next. So that was my view of the northeast coast. I was running up on the coastal path. Magical. The dates for the week. So 92 miles, 21 hours of exercise, 12,000 feet of elevation. I did, all the gym sessions. Did 2 strength sessions down the gym and then 1 core session. But yeah, body is tired, ready for the taper time. I did weigh myself. I wish I hadn't actually. I weighed myself about a month ago. So I do mention this and I do realise it could be quite triggering for some people talking about weight. And I don't have an issue, but yeah, I jumped on the scales and it wasn't the numbers I wanted to see. So
it's really funny that because I had to go, we went on a family trip to the doctors to get our medical certificates, because in France, you're not even allowed to play pétanque without a medical certificate.
Oh, wow.
So we all 5 of us, when you don't book doctor's appointments, you just turn up and then they just see you. So family satan. They set up this big room for us. You have to have ECGs. It's really good. Every year the kids get their spines checked and everything, and you get these certificates. Anyway, so in England you have to pay loads to get them. They're all the doctors, and I often hear that doctors are a bit arsy about doing them. But
they're confused
in France,
about it.
just
They
like,
don't get it.
yeah, they're just done. They're like 15 quid. They're just done all the time.
Ooh.
But every year I have to have my annual weigh in. And it gives me such anxiety because I'm like, what if like I live in this illusion that I look like Anna Kournikova, and then when I actually go to the scales, I get quite nervous about it, Gary, that I'm like, suppose I've gained 10 pounds without realizing, and Bryn's just too kind to go.
I think I'm in denial though, because I think, that program, is it, you are what you eat? I thought I'd been pretty clean with my diet.
Yeah, but muscle, Gary, you've probably built a bit of muscle, which you need.
Maybe I haven't.
Just go with that. Anyway, I've been the same weight, probably 30 years now. Whatever I do, whatever sport I do, however much it makes zero difference. I stay at the same weight. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but I'm like, well, maybe I should just eat rubbish all the time, because obviously this is pretty solid weight. It just
it shows you're fueling appropriately though. If you're not
just
dropping
bang
weight.
on, same, so boring. But I get that. Scales don't mean anything, Gary. It's it's how you feel.
Well, yeah, I think this is one of the questions on Renee McGregor's website. The test was, how often do you weigh yourself? So once a month, it isn't an issue. But I just thought, because
you thought racing shape, I'm going to be a little lean, a little ready, and
well, I think I'm eating salad and sauce and stuff. That's what I visualize. But maybe I'm eating burgers and chips. I don't know. I'm in denial. I'm not too sure. Maybe I should catalog what I eat just out of curiosity. I don't know. No, I'm not going to do that.
No.
But I love the tennis. Nice to have the tennis back. That's been good. I'm not sitting down and religiously watching it, but because it's on pretty much all the time. You just pop the TV on and there's a bit of tennis. And I suppose the highlight of the week is George and I have been out filming some social media stuff for Active Root and Protein Rebel. So yeah, George has been the director, producer and cameraman, and I'm the talent. I'm the talent behind the screen. It's good, it's great. People must look, because we're just on the railway lines where we live, and it's very working class in Wingate, and to see two people chatting away about Protein Rebel and Active Root, it's quite a strange concept for people to get their head around. But yeah, hopefully what I've done, I've sent some stuff off to the Protein Rebel guys. Just got to finish off the Active Root bits and bobs. So yeah, you might see me all over your timeline.
God, I cannot wait. Refresh.
And I think, well, I thought my week's been quite dull, but it sounds like it's been quite busy, but good. Actually, no dramas, which has been...
No dramas, Gary.
What about yourself?
I had a lot of drama. Yeah. My God. What a week. What it feels like I've not talked to you for a long time. I've done so much. I've been to so many places, especially for somebody who doesn't do a lot normally. Normally I go, I've got nothing to really report. And you've got all the... They've been on planes. I talked to people. So I am now in London town. I heard the kids on Spotify going, play My Old Man Says Fallen.
That's how we all talk.
I'm a Londoner.
I can't even do a London accent.
Oh God, if you wanted to perk yourself up a little bit and just hang out with my kids, bringing mountain kids to London is one of the funniest things. I keep having to go to quiet, use the
isn't it like an overload for them, the sensory overload?
Oh, it's a sensory overload for me, Gary. The cinema and then the Westfield shopping centre. I was like a newborn baby by the end of that. I was like, Bryn, oh my God. So we have come over to London to give the kids, we've got all sorts of things to do. Kids are having a holiday. Also, we like to bring them back to sort of just deferalize them a little bit with their lives. We were on a bus and a guy got on with really big muscles, and he had like a wife beater vest on. But when they have it so their nipples are out.
Why is a wife beater vest? I've never heard of this in my life.
Surely you have. They're like in your gym. There must be someone in them, but you can see the guy's nipples because they're like hang like down the middle, so he can.
I know the best you mean, but I've never heard it called one.
And he was like, "Mate, you got your t-shirt on the wrong way."
Oh.
Don't say that.
We just like,
you don't talk to people. You don't talk to the people in the in your vicinity. They're not then in London, people don't talk anyway. So yeah, we had a super busy week, mainly getting ready. As anybody knows, we were away for 2 weeks. There's a lot of packing, a lot of sorting, just life stuff, eating everything out of the fridge. That was a full-time job for Bryn. Let's finish this almost. These olives we had left over from he's getting everything sorted, and we got loads of like different things doing. So we had to like outfits for this, outfits for that. Of course, all the nutrition I needed for this running, I was going to do that, haven't actually done yet, because that's another story. So the running last week was a little bit, and Bryn was working and I had all the kids and it was trying to fit stuff in. So I was inspired by Andy and by you, Gary. So I thought, I can't go out and do big hill sessions. It's not the hill session that takes the time, it's the running back down the hill for me, because I can run up and up at hills all day, but then I finish and I'm 2 hours from home. So I thought I'm going to do, instead of all my normal unquality, lovely long runs, I'm going to just do quality. When my feet go in my trainers, it's going to be quality. So I did 2 mega treadmill sessions, just basically looked at what you did and doubled it.
So what were the dates though? Because I was 15 degrees and an hour and just a kind of high end of marathon effort. That's what mine.
Yes. Yeah. So I did, mine only goes up to 12%. So couldn't quite, takes me a bit longer to get that climbing in. And both sessions I started off with a 20-minute, I like to do this when I'm doing these, when I've got time. So the 90-minute sessions, both were 20 minutes, like a warm-up jog at 12%, slowly increasing the heart rate and warming up and to getting it up to like the last 5 minutes will be at the pace I want to run at. And so one was longer efforts, one was shorter efforts. So then I did 2 15 minutes. And 3 10 minutes at just probably above marathon pace by the end of. Also, you get massive heart rate drift because you get hotter, as you know, you get hotter and hotter. So the minute, like I was giving myself 1 minute hike in between, the heart would go down. And in the first couple, it would take the first 5 minutes would feel relatively easy. But then as you go longer through the cycle, when you get to like over an hour, you jump back on within a minute. You're like, oh my God, need to be toweled off. I went through almost 3 liters of electrolyte, I think, on both of them.
Goodness.
So I did one long session. And then the next one I did the 20-minute warm up. And then I did 12 by 3 minutes, still at 12%, but whacking the pace much, much quicker up so that my heart rate would go straight up. And that would be top end. Enjoyed like you did. I really enjoyed. I just get so much out of that. Yeah. And then you feel like you've had such a good session. One of them, so I went and did this talk for runners retreats. Lovely people at runners retreats. I was really nervous, as I think I said to you. Did I even suggest on podcast? What am I going to talk about? People don't know who I am. But anyway, none of that mattered. Of course, people knew I was. We had a lovely Leslie, lovely long-time podcaster. Said she'd listened since episode 1, back in the day.
Wow.
So that was lovely. And so shout out. Hiya. It was really good. The guy doing it sort of read out bits I didn't even know I'd ever written. He was like reading out some quotes about the spine and about general running stuff I'd written. And then we just sort of had a discussion about that. And then it got to like the question and answer. Worst bit, Gary, when you're like, no one's going to ask any. Let's do the last question. So that was really, really nice, but late and long. And then I had to get up at 5:45 to do this treadmill session. So it was pretty dark because we had to catch a flight. That was, and I always think, I love doing a session the day I travel. And then I remember, and every time I'm like, why do I do this? Because then you're dehydrated all day, you're tired, you're cranky. Then we got to the plane and also so busy getting the last stuff all ready. Jason and Kim Cavill have come to stay. So we didn't have to like shut up the house or anything. And they're looking after the dogs. That was lovely. Had a lovely run with Kim too. I was like, why did I got so early? And then we got to the airport, got on the plane, all going so well. And we sat on the tarmac, Gary, for like 2 and a bit hours because we missed our takeoff slot. And they don't turn the air conditioning on. I was already quite dehydrated from the treadmill session. I was like, oh my God, they don't bring any EasyJet. They don't give you anything. I was like, so Evie was like, I need a wee. So we went up and then they put little like shot glasses of water out on the tray. So I like looked around where the air hostesses were and they were sort of busy. So I just went along the shot glasses of water going, oh my God, this isn't enough fluid. And then by
to
the time
be
we
on the
took
runway
off,
for 2 hours.
by the time we took off, we should have landed. Rory was like, we could have landed by now, because of course the volume, and he was sitting the other side of the plane to me. And then when we got over to England, then the pilot said, so we haven't got a slot to land at the moment, so we're just going to circle here for 35 minutes. And I was like, oh, even Evie went, Mum, I'm kind of done with this plane now. I was like, I hear you. Especially when you think you've only got a short flight. So we didn't really take anything. Eve's had a bit of colouring to do, and that was it. And we'd sort of done that while we waited for the plane to take off. So, so by the time we landed, we were so delayed. And then getting into London, I regretted that treadmill session, sort of. Anyway, straight to Pizza Express, refueled, and then, but the crack ass of dawn. Poor Eddie's eyeballs, to get over to Wendover Woods for the Centurion, their first sort of foray into a running festival sort of vibe, where they were doing a 100-mile race, 50-mile race, 10-mile race, 50K race, all over these 4 days round this one loop, which I have now run, apart from the bit I missed out by mistake. Hope you all enjoyed my guided run.
Eddie, you grafted. This is like hard work. This is not a holiday so far.
And now, here I am. Actually, this is the holiday bit, Gary, because Bryn's taking the kids out. It's the first bit of... I'm sitting down. I'm not doing 20,000 steps around Play Park. There was so much, lots of racing. Amazing. So the people, when I arrived, the 100-milers were like deep into... There was only 15 left in the race. I think 30 started. It's a 10-mile loop with just under 2,000 feet of climbing. It's basically on a 2-mile square, and the loop just circles in all sorts. When I was doing it, I was like, I couldn't tell you where I was. We were just following the arrows. And then we kept popping up and I'd be like, oh, we've been here before. It was so discombobulating. There wasn't any long climbs. It was all like a steep drop down for 30 seconds. And then you'd get a nice bit of flat bit, and then you'd get a steep up. You'd really like it, I think.
It sounds like Castle Eden Dean.
I bet it is. I loved it and would like to definitely. I don't think I'd have 10 laps in me on that course. But the 100-milers were about 8 to 9 laps in. So that was awesome, because I was allowed special access to the tent where they were coming in and getting all their bags and stuff. So I really annoyed them all by being like, let's go, let's do this. The guy was like, I need to sit down and look at my foot. And I was like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to look at your foot, because I guarantee what you see is not going to help you in any way feel positive about your feet or anything. I would just leave that socket. I could see him thinking.
Did he check his feet out, or did he just go?
I gave him the advice, and then I moved away, because the look was like, I don't know who you are, but you can back cry off. But when you're like, don't do it. I know you want to sit down. I know you want to look at your feet, but you won't get back out there. But it was lovely. I saw Melissa and Justin, who are big... she's a big friend of mine, but also always been a podcast supporter right from the beginning. And she was I saw her finishing lap 9. She is a little unit, Gary. Talking of little units, she's very, very petite, but oh my God, is she strong. She came in with a little pulse, super strong, and had got a proper ultra shuffle on. Quads were battered, totally broken. And the descents are really steep. They're just like straight down little drops, and it had rained, so they're rooty and chalky. And so I ran out onto the loop to see her off on her last loop, and she's still smiling and joking. But watching her going down the first descent, I was like watching one of my I was like, oh, that looks so painful.
Feet and the quads that have been in agony.
Feet and the quads, but you know what, Gary? I was so jealous. I was like, I love that. I want that pain. I'm so jealous of you right now, deep in the pain cave. I knew I was taking this guided run out. And so I said to her, I'm going to see you on this lap in about an hour and a half. So go, we're going to catch you up. I'm going to throw sweeties at you. You got this. So that was awesome. Seeing all those people deep in the pain cave was amazing. Seeing all people that came up and went, Eddie, where's Gary? If only Gary was here, life would be complete. Lots of people saying that they loved the podcast, which I always am a bit orcs with, and I don't know what to do with, because I think you and I live in denial a bit that it's just you and I having a lovely... You love it. Gary loves it. I get a bit like, ooh.
I do sometimes if I come away from the situation, I think, God, I hope I wasn't a dick. But hopefully, hopefully.
Yeah, you probably were. Let's face it.
It's a real treat.
Yeah, it's a thrill. It's like, oh, it's real. It's real. People, I love that. It's real.
Yeah.
So lots of lovely, and honestly, if ever you think, oh, I can't go, because I had a few messages from people saying, we didn't want to disturb you, looked really busy. I'm like, always disturb.
Always open.
I'm always open. Got me into this trouble in the first place. So yeah, I managed, so I did a lap. Would definitely like to go and do one of those as like a racing. My skill set, all that steep descending, but then lots of 12%, Gary,
Yes.
kind of runnable, but don't want to run.
You said there was only 30 people and 100. Was there other races? Could you do like a relay or 50
yes,
miles?
Yes, you could do 100, 50 miles, 50K, and then the 10 miles, which I think was the main event on the Sunday, but I was only there on the Saturday. Yeah, I'd like to go do the 10. That would be hard. That 10 mile there'd be no just marathon pace feel. It would be hard out. It would be fun. I tried on some La Sportiva Akasha 2s because I started to get the fear that my lovely favorite North Face, the grip wasn't going to be good enough for Totdret. Talked to James, who's done it, saying a lot of it is on rock and movable rock and slate. And if it's wet, we all know finding a trainer that's grippy on wet one. Rock.
I've never found
anyway,
one. Anyway,
tried these Akashas and they were really, really good. The grip was amazing. And I pushed it a little bit, even though we were like kind of jogging around just a couple of descents. I was like, right, let's go into kind of like a little bit faster, see what the grip was like. The grip was outstanding. But the cushioning for 30 hours. Oh, yeah. You got to weigh up. Like, do I want to have really, really good grip over cushioning? I just want them both, but I'm not sure.
Have you tried VJs? They're rubbers.
Oh,
really
yes, their rubber is amazing, but the cushioning, you can feel your bones through those shoes. I don't understand. People will probably know the answer why the La Sportiva can't put their sole on my lovely big cushioned North Face, but I can't wear my lovely big cushioned North Face ones for Totdret. I need more anchor. I need to be closer to the trail than those ones. So I tried them on. I'm going to think about it. No rash purchases. I did go over to the Green Runners and see if they had any for secondhand in my size, but they didn't. It was great to meet David, who's also been a great supporter to us, a big help all through the climate relay, and telling us right initially when we sort of heard of the Green Runners, it was David that sort of showed us the way, wasn't it, and made us feel a little bit less stupid. So it was great to meet him as well, face to face. So
he's a good guy.
It was all. He's a good guy. It was a lot, and I was pretty tired. I literally felt like I hadn't stopped for about 3 days. I came back, and then on the Sunday, I hadn't really done a long run. Deets were pretty low, to be honest, Gary. And there's 2 quality treadmill sessions, so I kind of was like, that might be all I get to do this week. But Bryn and I decided, and this is where it's great because Bryn is actually much better at fitting in training when we're sort of out of our normal routine. He will get up, like if I'm like 6 o'clock, get up, he'll get up and get out the door to get the run in, whereas I'll be like, shoo-be-doo, I just need to have a cup of tea, and then it'll be 8 o'clock and I'll have missed the slot. So we tied it in with the annual visit to sisters and cousins, and he ran down there, which is down, we're sort of like West London, and it's down South London. He ran down, carved the route, the Explorer. I sent him on his way. I took the kids on the tube, and he got there pretty much as we did. And I was like, whoa. I was like, so how long did it take you? 1 hour. He said 1 hour 41 or something.
Game on. Just
shy of 13 miles. I was like, game on. I think it's more uphill on the way back. So then we had the whole day there. And then 6:30, I was like, they left. I was like, oh, I do not want to do this run back.
No way.
But I've got to beat 1 hour 41. I knew once I got to Clapham Common, I knew every road because I used to live there for a long time, 3 years. I knew I'd know my way back, but the South London to Clapham Common, Gary, I was running scared. I was like, I don't know where I am. I'm a little bit frightened. I get my phone out going, oh my God, where am I? I was a bit like, oh God, what road am I going down now? Am I going in the right direction? Am I going to end up in Croydon? kept seeing signs of Croydon. I was like, I'm sure I'm not meant to be going towards Croydon. And it was really fun though, because it's a complete difference to where I normally live and where I normally train, running on road. I got totally carried away. Oh my God, Gary. So anyway, got to Clapham Common, felt fine. Then there's quite a long stretch, ran back to my old house to take a picture at the front door because I felt that I needed to. Love it. Did a little detour, then crossed the river, Battersea Bridge, and then my butt cheeks just fell apart, Gary. I was like, I am in such agony. The jolting of my glutes on the concrete, I was like, oh, this hurts so bad. The last few miles, I was like, oh, my whole body just fell apart. So anyway, got back. I know you'll all want to know, 1 hour 36. Yeah, whatever. And I took a detour. But I did say to him, I was like, I was moving, like whenever there was a bit where you weren't having to cross the road or fear for your life, I'd like move along. I was like, yeah, run, beat the traffic, obviously. And Bryn was like, oh yeah, I just took it easy. I was like, I don't believe you. You. Anyway, yeah, so I was so stiff. Then yesterday I was like, Bryn, I don't think I can run today. Everything hurt so much from all that concrete. And I've got trail shoes on too, because I only wanted to bring one pair of trainers. So they're not quite as cushioned as I'd like. And then this morning we did the way I handle training this week, we'll just do power hours. So we'll just have an hour and get do a session basically. But as we started talking, even my pecs hurt, Gary, from bouncing. I'm saying pecs, I actually mean boobs. They're not used to bouncing on the concrete so much. I was like, oh my God, Bryn, even my boobs hurt from this concrete. Every time there was a bit of grass, I'd be like, I need to run on the grass. I need to run on the grass. Anyway, I don't want to get injured, but it is fun. It is fun. Yeah, so a super busy week. Did manage just under 15,000 feet climbing. That was the aim. Not as much, 53, 54 miles, just over 10 hours worth of running. And it is what it is. But I still think I got a bit of fitness work in there. And the next 2 weeks are just going to have to be as I can, not think about it.
Oh, yeah. Just give yourself some grace. Do what you can. I would not stress. We both are long-term athletes, and a down week or two in the scheme of it all is fine.
Let's face it, when anyone who comes to London as well, you're walking 10 miles a day as well. So it's not like you're sitting
But it's all that hidden stuff, isn't it? You don't realise that you see the walking and then just the stress of being everywhere, seeing people. Your cup can only take so you can only do so much. Like even if I just go to London totally and I'm trying not to do any running, just walking around with the family, I get to the hotel at night and I am wrecked.
Wrecked.
I feel dirty. I'm wrecked.
Oh, so dirty. Yeah. Last night, I was like, Bryn was like, what do you want to eat? And we don't really have cooking facilities. The oven's broken, so we're having to do like microwave or boil stuff. So I was like, Bryn, can I just have like a nice salad, like some vegetables and stuff? So he came back with me for a big salad bowl with me and a KFC for him. You're such a champ, Bryn. You just keep going. You keep going.
No brew with the coaches this week. So patrons, send your questions in to hello@tntrails.com. We've got a few, but we could do with a few more, and then we'll schedule a call with the coaches and we'll get recording some episodes.
This week, we catch up with Jack Scott. Lovely chat with Jack. Lots of stuff covered. And as always, not enough time to get into all the deets, but there's something there for everyone. Jack came second last weekend at the Lakeland Trails Ultra 55K. Looks like a great battle with Jonathan Cox. Here is our chat with Jack.
Second place at the Full Winter Spine, crushing fell races too. BBC Breakfast TV star, the best moustache on the Pennine Way, and this week's Tea and Trails podcast guest. Warm welcome to the show, Jack Scott. How you doing, Jack?
Hello, good afternoon, guys. Yeah, I'm really, really good. Thanks for having me on. Thanks
for joining us. I know we said before we recorded, it's taken quite a while to get us all together. So I appreciate your time today. We ask all of our guests, where are you? What's the view from your window? And have you been for a run today?
Okay, that's cool. I'm in Stone, Staffordshire, so between Stoke-on-Trent and Stafford. Looking out my window now, I've got 2 coats and an Innovate pack drying on the fence because I've been on Kader Idris this morning, and it was absolutely horrendous conditions with Damien Hall, actually. So it was pretty cool.
That's a good name drop to start off
Look
with
at
us.
that. Straight in, just saying we do that most Fridays.
Yeah. It's been a good. I was in Snowdonia for 2 days. We did a bigger day yesterday, and in the sun, lovely. And then today was, it was unpleasant. So I don't know if any of you have been up that mountain, but there's a sort of bothy there, possibly the highest bothy in Wales, just off the summit. And we had to have a bit of a debrief there. And I went one way and he went the other because he's got a bit of a longer run. But the bothy saved us today. It was last time we were in a hut like that was hut 1 at the Spine. So
Hut 1, how bad was Hut 1? That was one of my lowest points, but also one of the most unfriendly places I've ever been on earth.
Just a shed, isn't it?
Even if I've been in nicer sheds, Jack.
Yeah,
the coldest. I think it was colder inside than it was out.
There was so much snow around then as well at that point in the race in the Cheviot. It just, if my memory of the pictures are correct, it looked like a pretty hostile place.
Yeah, it was absurd, and the only thing that was on our side, I suppose, is that it was clear and cold, which was the visibility was really good, which was nice. Obviously, then nighttime comes, which nighttime never really leaves on the Spine race. But if it had snowed like that the day before and then it was changing, warming up, and maybe the clag was moving in, I can imagine it would be worse then. As you know, or anyone who's been up there, once you're up there, you can see for like what seems like literally 40 miles. It's not that far. So it's a mental churn. And it was, the snow was new to me and frustrating, but it was fun.
I should go up. It's not really that far away from where I live. What about your local trails, Jack? Do you always have to jump in a car to get some elevation? Or have you got good local trails? Yeah,
I've got like a woodland, which is sort of 2 miles away, where I can get some punchy climbs if I think outside the box. It's quite repetitive, and there was one climb out of a tiny little hamlet called Modishall, which is sort of 110 foot through the woods. Lovely. And I've done days on that, like 41 reps of that, which is a mental battle as well.
Wow.
But usually I'll get across to the Roaches in North Staffordshire on the Derbyshire border, and then do a lot of racing training there. And my favourite hill is Shutlin Slow. I don't know if you guys know that. Just outside Macclesfield Forest. It's the best you've got around here, and that's about 40 minutes.
I was thinking about that today because I read something that Kilian Jornet wrote, because I do a lot of my training, even though I'm surrounded by cols, on the same hill, just because of the ease. You've got a couple of hours or an hour and you want to do a hill session. The ease, it's the quickest hill to get to. You know it really well. And I often think, I should be more adventurous with where I go. And then I read Kilian saying his local climb, he climbs it like something like 1,000 times a summer or something, that he and I felt a bit less bad, that I wasn't more like should go and do the hill reps up a different climb or something. Jack, can you tell us a little bit about your background you grilled us before we came on the podcast, our CVs. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? Where did you find running and where are you today?
I found running, I'd always been competitive footballer locally. I always thought myself as a leader. Every team I played in, I took it really seriously, and I was captain of 90% of those teams. And that was dwindling out, and I just wanted to maintain a bit of fitness. So I remember doing a half marathon, I think in like 1:30 just off the cuff. It was really difficult, and my body knew about it the next day. And then I Googled things and spoke to people, and they were like, well, that's pretty good considering you've never ran over a football match distance. To keep it short, it just snowballed from there. So it was on the road, and I remember entering sort of a race series of 3 or 4 half marathons, and then I moved to the marathon within a Snowdonia marathon, which is steep if you know it or you've heard of it or done it. So that was my first marathon, and then so that was 4 months in, and then within 6 months I'd done like a 45 miler. Then I picked up a fatigue injury.
Yeah, I was going to say, wow, how did your body hold up?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I was in an interesting period of my life then. I was still growing up. I was 22, 23. And I'd been gambling sort of since I was 18. So the two crossed over. And then things just... Once I got myself sorted, learned about my IT band, learned about my body, I was chasing distances. So I did a 50, a 75, 100. And then the first time I went really long was the Off a Dyke race, which starts in Chepstow and runs the the whole of Wales. And that was the first time I learned about sleep and all that. And then, things have spiraled out of control from there.
You mentioned there about like the gambling and the running playing alongside each other. How did that work?
No, I gambled from when I was like 18. And it was suppose it was under control then. And as I grew and as I was looking for an identity, looking to mature into a man, I, again, ending the sort of football career, or running came and the gambling was there. I've said before that I think when I used to run a long way, and I remember particularly before off the dyke, I was gambling that summer, and then I raced and I made some really big life decisions in that race. I made the decision so the race was like 190 miles, 49 hours it took. I didn't have a clue what I was doing with sleep, so it was just a blur. But I like that race sort of give me time away, where it's just, I think we can all agree that long distance running, the simplicity of it, where in a busy life where the phone's always ringing or there's always a bill to pay, the real lure for me is for 5 hours, 15 hours, 3 days, all you've got to do, as long as all this is okay at home with the family and the dog, all you've got to do is move and feed yourself and hydrate and just go and show who you are. And the Off the Dyke was the first time I realised that. And although I was in a mental battle in the race, it sort of was like the clearest I've thought for years. And I decided, like, I'm going to get engaged to my wife. And I was really looking for a way out of the gambling. And then about 3 months after Off the Dyke, the gambling managed to be eradicated, which was nice. How did
you manage to do that? I'm just thinking, if people are listening, because in our sport, it's all sorts of people in ultra running, which is what makes it such a beautiful community. But something we all have in common is this. I don't want to use the word addiction, but this sort of, we love, the process of running, the habit of running every day. It's sort of, we need that as part of our life. And we all have this little strand in that we can push ourselves to limits that perhaps other people can't understand when you explain to people what you're doing. And most people go, what? Why would you do that? How did you then turn that switch to go, okay, I'm going to stop the gambling? Did you have to seek help, or was it something you were able to do yourself?
I found a clarity and a happiness, and I'd found a way out, and I literally ran with it. Like, running allowed me to tweak my lifestyle and have something and maybe be successful and just see what was around the corner. And it gave me hope, and it just gave me clarity, and it gave me an identity, and I needed it. And things happened at just the right time, and I wasn't willing to let that go. And when you talk about the running lifestyle, like, I've really adopted that, including things outside of your running shoes. I often say that it's not just who you are in your running shoes, and whether you limp to the finish, whether you DNF or whether you podium. It's the things in between that which I thoroughly enjoy.
And value as well, like, they are so important, that actually you in your running shoes is the least important. It's all the other bits that go into it as well.
Yeah, and that's what I've adopted, and that's what I try and preach to people. You're a runner on your rest days. You're a runner when you go to bed, when you brush your teeth. You're a runner when you wake up, and it's an amazing journey.
We're going to have some listeners, they might be going through various struggles. Are there any red flags, if somebody's listening to this podcast, and then, I don't know if there's something you could say that maybe would raise alarm bells, maybe it would kind of prompt them to seek help?
Yeah. So my addiction and struggles was extreme. I mean, I'm a man of extremities, and I think that's helped my characteristics going into the running I do now, long distances, not being phased by things. I think I can compute them, figure them out, and show who I am. I would say that, and I've said before, if you're into painting, don't let someone say it's irrelevant. Go and paint the Picasso you've always wanted to do. If you've always wanted to buy a book and it's just never happened, then, or write a book, do that. Like, surround yourself with people you can trust, people who promote positiveness, and put yourself in an environment where you could be a best version of yourself. And mine was through athletic performance. There's runs in my psyche that people don't know about and people haven't seen, or there's just like little things on Strava, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's like little things in between, which means so much. And I just put myself in that situation as much as I could, and eventually I turned the tide. So yeah, can you clean up can you be healthy? Can you be positive? Can you put yourself in an environment where you can be a better version of yourself? And don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something, or it's unrealistic, or it's silly. You know, if you want to be the world ping pong champion, then give it a go. And then
I would like to be, but my serve is not. No reactions.
That's where change happens, when you've got a smile on your face, positivity. That's where your characteristics can be tweaked and changed, and see what doors show themselves. The door was, I had to force the door. You know, I went in a circle with mine. I went through it without any help, I was pretty under the radar with my family as well, which was difficult, but I had to do it the way I did it. I don't regret anything. And now I feel like I've set myself up to be successful, and I'm the one in the family that people can trust, which that means so much to me now.
And I guess it's little changes as well. You can't just go, that's it. I guess just making little changes in your lifestyle, little steps forward. It's just so similar to ultra running and training as well. It's like all the little pieces that all add up. You can't, and slowly turning the oil tanker rather than trying to turn it all at once in one day.
I mean, I was totally sick of and I couldn't see past a certain age. Not that I thought I was going to hurt myself, but I just couldn't see a future. I just couldn't figure it out. And running again, especially off a diet race, it gave me that time to think and process and learn. Ask for help and surround yourself with people you can trust, but do it your way and be patient. And when I was ready to stop, I was sick of it. So I used software which sort of banned. It's called GamStop, so it bans any European betting company. They completely shut off your bank cards. You can't register an address. You can't do anything. So the head was cut off the snake for me, and I was ready for that, and I needed that. And I've never looked back from there. It was difficult coming out the back end of it. It was hard, really hard.
You talk about help. Is there any? I know you didn't seek help yourself, but is any resources maybe that you're aware of now? I don't know if you work with certain organisations, but again, just for listeners who are maybe struggling, places where they can go and reach out for help. Yeah, I mean, GamStop is, if you want to change, it gives you the option. It gives you it could be the catalyst, and it's really amazing software, which is it was a life changer for me. And I've said before, I remember clicking on it. I remember the moment I clicked on it. I was in a coffee shop driving to work, I think. I'd stopped off driving to it, I clicked on it, but I'd been on that app 10, 15 times before, and it wasn't the right time, it wasn't the right day, for whatever reason, whether, I don't know what chemical reactions are going on, but I stuck with it, I persevered, and then I literally pressed the button and it was done. That's amazing software, and obviously there's Be Gamble Aware. If there's people in your life who you go out with on a Friday night, a Saturday night, and they're there for you, and you're in an environment which is restrictive, you're in I don't know, you're eating this, you're drinking that, can you clean up other aspects of your life and surround yourself with people who really care about you, really understand you? And I lost a lot of friends from I completely changed my lifestyle, and I really trimmed my friendship group down. My family closed in, my team closed in. I just realized that I didn't need this and I didn't need that. But what I do need is I need to move and to be with my family and to be kinder to yourself as well. It was a tough thing to, I'd grill myself and like I said, sometimes I ran a long way to punish myself or to look for that clarity, and that wasn't sustainable in the long run.
It's a lot of growing up you did in quite a short space of time. My husband said something really interesting to me this week. He heard or saw something that said, your true friends are the ones that if you message them saying, can you come and help me paint my house, would come and help you paint your house. And he said, and it was like, there'll only be a very small handful of people that would go, this Saturday I've got a couple of hours, can come. And I thought, I like that bit. Those little bits of,
I don't do painting. I hate painting.
Yeah, but you'd probably come and make a brew, wouldn't you, Jack? You'd be like, I can't look, I'm not doing the painting, but I'll do the tea and a bit of chat.
Yeah, we put up some nice paneling behind on the wall in the lounge, and I put it all up, stuck it up, and my wife did the final bit, and she had to paint it while I
was admiring how your lovely sofa, how clean it was behind you. I was like, geez, if that was my sofa, it'd be like chocolate handprint, the dog hair.
We had to wait for DIY to be finished in my house. It would be never finished if it was left to me. It's terrible, and I'm quite handy. I'm quite handy, but No, the thought of it's like a busman's holiday. I really don't fancy it. I've got one more question around the gambling, Jack, before we move on. One of our Patreons got in touch, Steve Felby, and he said, do you find doing these long distance events another form of release and basically swapping one habit for another? We hear this quite often, actually. What do you think about that?
I think at the start, 100%. It was literally left hand, right hand, long distance running, being that man, or being that person. And then in the opposite hand, it was, this is who you've been. Can you move can you go like this? Can you pull away from it? But then as I've evolved, learned and developed as a person and as a husband and as a dad to little Winnie and as a brother and
Winnie. Winnie's the dog. We keep seeing the odd ear flapping.
Yeah. And as an uncle, I think it's unfair and disrespectful to me and the sport to say that you can just jump in and out like that. So at the start, yeah, but as I learned more about myself, the pattern changed, and I think everything I've done now and everything I want to do and the person I want to be, more importantly, not a trophy cabinet or not a certificate. It's the person I want to be. The two are completely different now. But don't get me wrong. I go, my mantra before the spine was, you've put yourself through hell. Although I was, mentally struggling, you put yourself through hell, and nothing good of it came for 6 or 7 years in gambling. You've got an opportunity here. You're in a good place. Nothing can harm you compared to where you've been. So the Pennine Way with 4 foot of snow and sleep demons, not a problem.
Not a problem. I like the way you're using your learning. You're using the characteristics that sort of the gambling brought out of you, but then you're using what you've learned and using it to make yourself.
I've just
it's an amazing way to frame it.
Put it down a different avenue.
Yeah,
I'm still the same person. I'm just kind. I like to think I'm kinder, more trustworthy, nicer. I can be a bit grumpy if the run.
Don't worry, we all can.
But I'm just. The main thing at the minute is I think my wife would say that we're just in a really good spell with sustainability and mindset, and that can only promote better performances, but just a better feel about things, which is fantastic. And I'm not naive to say, life is a funny old journey. You never know where you're going to be next week, let alone. So I'm not naive to think that door might not show itself again. And I think I'm prepared and ready for that. And I've moved further enough away. But when you speak to a gambler or someone who's suffered with something, it's always evolving. It's always moving. That's one thing I've learned since the spine. I've done a bit of work. I've done a bit of work with, like speaking to people on similar things to this and big platforms and big opportunities. And it's always moving. As long as if the train stops, as long as it stops at a station that you want to and you're in control, that's okay for it to stop. The destination is always, over there, and you've got to keep it moving.
Moving and learning. Can we talk a little bit, Jack, about your training philosophy? Yeah. How you fit your running into your life? Are you sort of like a Courtney Dauwalter of training? Do you just go out how you feel? Do you have a plan? Do you have a coach? What does your sort of day-to-day training and running look like?
So I haven't got a coach. I learned that if I want to be competitive in a Lake District Fell race with some amazing GB, Keswick, Ambleside runners, and if I want to be the guy who's trying to win the spine race, that things will look different for me, especially at my age. And can I get away with things because I'm only 28 at the minute with the intensity of a fell race and then the longevity of a 200-mile run? Possibly, yes. So at the minute, there's a lot of intensity, there's a lot of rest, and there's a real focus on the gym and, again, who you are, not in your running shoes. There's a time and a place to fill your boots, don't get me wrong. I'm going to the Alps in 4 weeks and I'll do a monster week and fill my boots there on the climbs. I'll try more than one climb.
Don't just do the one climb, stick out there. You go, heavy binge. Love it.
You make a good point. I think a lot of people ignore or maybe not pay as much attention to improving things when you're not actually out there running. It could be go to bed an hour earlier or clean up your nutrition. Is that what you meant by that?
Yeah. It's like they're the gains you can make through. I want to do as little as I can, get as fast as I can, and stay as fit as I can. And you can do that. I had the chat with Damien yesterday. We were talking about training philosophies and stuff, and you're your own best coach. You know your body better than anyone. For me, like mileage stats don't exist at all. I'm all about, realistically with the good rest and a couple of gym sessions, I can do three hard workouts a week. One on the road, maybe intervals, one on the hills, pretty intense, and then a long run, but with a emphasis on working hard and throwing yourself downhill. And that keeps me where I need to be. And like before the spine, I did some long runs with the pack on and stuff like that. But, I just ran in Wales this morning. I just ticked over my thousandth mile of the year. And like, that's not a lot, but I feel fitter and more, I feel more prepared than I ever have. And
that might shock a few people actually, because I would have thought for someone who's looking at you as maybe as an elite athlete, they would think, your volume would have been higher than that. And also the speed that you run. And sometimes the volume, say if you run on the roads and you're running a lot faster, but with your miles in relative terms being slower, I think it might quite surprise a few people, only 1,000 miles.
Yeah, it's small, it's specific, and it's for me. And I believe that pattern. For instance, December, I ran a 5K PB 13 days before the spine of like 16:02, and then I went to the spine and did what I did. And I remember over Christmas working on like 400 meters, throwing myself around on Boxing Day on the housing estate over there. And I'd done the big work. I'd done the 40-mile days of the pack on in the snow. I'd done all that, and I was just ready to refresh and go down a different avenue. You're still a runner, you're still fit, you're still ready, you're still a long distance runner. You're just being patient and waiting and waiting. On the start line of the spine, I suspect that I had done less than anybody, volume than anyone.
We've got a question from Patreon, actually, which is down this line. Joe Allen, would you consider that a lot of your general training racing focuses on VO2 max type training racing? How much do you think this serves your overall race fitness? And what sort of specific additions did you add for the spine? You've kind of answered that already, that a little bit of specificity, but you like to keep that high intensity.
You can't underestimate the ability to do hard things in training that you're scared of, that fear, when you think them up, when I conjure them up 3 or 4 days before I'm going to do them, they petrify me. Short stuff, and how, that ties into long distance running. You've got to go out your comfort zone, but you don't have to go out your comfort zone for 5 hours on the Pennine Way. Think outside the box, do it for 25 minutes, Can you cover all bases? I love doing a mile, like hard. I love doing, and I'll go out and do, a solo unsupported paddy, It would, like in the same week, I love running that much, and I love the avenues that are there, that I just try and explore everything. And for now, at my age, maybe in, I don't know how many years, but if I need to specify on something or something shows itself and right, this is the sort of runner I am, then I will tweak my philosophy. But for now, it's like, remember, you've got to enjoy it. And I enjoy variety, and I enjoy training hard, and then going in the gym, resting hard. And also like the amount of physio I'm getting and sports massage, I'm getting at least 2 hours a week, at least, just looking after myself. And that probably equates to 16, 17 miles a week all year that I haven't done. But my times are getting better.
Petra Bisterveld has entered the Northern Traverse for 2024. She's never done a multi-day and has only ever gone through one night so far. You're going to have a great time, Petra. So with no experience of sleeping in a race, is it best to plan your sleep in advance and stick to the plan, or use a more suck it and see approach? She's not a super fast runner, so she'll definitely need to sleep. If you reach one of the checkpoints with sleep abilities in daylight, is it best to press on and sleep out on the trail once it's dark? No, Petra, sleep. Jack, what do you say?
Again, what are you writing at the top of the page? What are your race goals? It sounds like from Petra's situation, it is to finish fit and healthy with a smile on her face at whatever time is possible. It doesn't sound like there's a need to take a risk. So, and you're going to have to learn on the job here. Have the ability to adapt in run and make those decisions and trust them early. Like if I'm 12 hours from the checkpoint, let's go in a 6-hour spell, then reassess, and have that ability to be versatile and trust your instinct and believe that the decision you make is the correct one, because you're going to have 60, 70 hours. And if you start questioning the choices you make, you can be dragged into a negative space, and that's not going to help. So believe in yourself and set up your shield to be unbeatable in your own skin.
And be flexible too. Like you said, if you've got all that negative chat in your head, that's just going to drag you down. But yeah, just be flexible as well, I think.
Everything happens, like, if you can believe that this was meant to happen here, this was meant to happen here. I had it on the spine when I stubbed my toe on a stile in it before Alston. My mindset and my psyche was that tuned that, like, I was like, that's fine, not a problem. That was meant to happen. And can you get close to that, or can you be positive like that? And remember to run with a smile on your face. And the fact that you're doing a long race is incredible. That's a huge opportunity chunk of time to be yourself. Don't resent that. Look forward to that, be excited, and then go and paint your picture.
That's great. I'm writing all this down, Jack. These little, I love it. We move on to the spine, actually, if that's okay. What was it for you? Yeah, why the spine?
So I'd done the off a diet race. I was coming out the back end of that, and I had a spine entry for 2020 before we were all locked up. I'd pulled the plug on gambling the December before, so about 6 weeks before. I got engaged 10 days before the spine, and there was a lot going on. Mentally, I didn't realise until the spine, but I was exhausted. So I went into the race with my friend Hugh, who we spoke about earlier on, and I DNF'd after around about 70 miles. I was dealing, I know now what it was. I think I was trained and ready to finish, but not as competitive as the last one. But I was already dealing with something extremely hard. Like, I was 5 weeks clean of gambling. I'd got engaged, which was amazing, burst of energy. But my body and my psyche was dealing with something every day that I didn't even realise was hard. So when the first hard avenue showed itself and it was really hard, I couldn't figure it out. I was exhausted trying to work it out. I remember where I was at Gargrave, I think, and I couldn't do it. So I needed to go away, learn more about myself, get healthier, get cleaner, and then just not frustration, because it was meant to happen like that. But I knew, and I know that in the long run, if I settle, whenever that is, I know I can take risks and look after myself and maybe be competitive depending on who's around. And then, the shoe fit for this year's spine, and that's why I went for it.
Got another Patreon question, actually. Paul Whiteleg. After the full winter spine, are you tempted by the Arctic spine, or do you want to test your mental and physical strengths even further?
Distance wise, yeah. I mean, I like I've said, I think if I've got enough notice and the route excites me and it means something to me, don't lose sight of, it's got to mean something and fit into your life at that time. Everything wants to shut it down. Everything wants to make it impossible to do. Everything wants to put it in the corner and just, I'll give that a go. You can't do it like that. So it has to fit with life, and the spine this time fitted with life. I spoke to my wife about it. It was just the right time for me. The Arctic spine, yeah, but I haven't got an endless pot of money, so that's not realistic.
4,000 or something, isn't it?
Yeah, these things look awesome, but the money and the time, it's restricted for a lot of people.
But distance-wise, like I could see myself doing a 400-mile run. I think I could do it if it meant something to me and if it fitted right. So distance-wise, I'd never, ever restrict myself distance-wise, I don't think, ever.
Would you go back and do the spine again?
Again, at the minute, and Damien was asking me this yesterday, I'm in a 6-month cycle where I want to enjoy my running. I want to, I think I've earned the right to, again, explore all different varieties of disciplines. So I'm taking it 6-month cycles, and I don't want to rush or be greedy. I'm hoping that I've got a career ahead of me, and Damien's 48, I'm 28, so I've just got to find my feet, be patient. I know this is here, I know I've done this, I know I can do this, but it's got to fit, and I can't jeopardize what I've done by going back and seeing the bright lights. Every race is different, every year is different, and I just want to do things sustainably and be running with a smile on my face. So the answer is no for now. Did
it take you a long time to recover?
Mentally it did, but in a nice way. Like, I didn't realise what had gone on. I didn't realise I'd gone under John's time. I just couldn't compute it, and it's still coming to me. Physically, yeah. I mean, I was in the gym sort of 10 days later. I did a really big block of gym work and really enjoyed that, because I thoroughly enjoy CrossFit stuff. I do it all myself, but I know what I want to do. Running wise, I mean, I thought it was, and it's tweaked my philosophy, because I did a trail race on the edge of the Peak District last year, won it, ran it well, and then I went back this year at the start of March, blitzed my time from the year before, and felt incredible, and I was in spine recovery, so it didn't quite make sense. So whether or not I'd broken down a sort of mental barrier that I could go with that extra 3%, I think I took 2.5 minutes off my time before. So that was like, whoa, hang on, this ain't meant to happen like this. But that was nice. And you can't go into every race like that. Yeah, recovery was good. I lived clean, and I was in a really happy place. So I was absolutely over the moon with it.
It was a joy. I love watching the dots. Who'd have thought watching the dot for days on end would be so entertaining? It was amazing how invested everybody was.
Entertained you so much, Gary. Being that entertained ourselves.
I think as a runner though, obviously all of us on this chat and all listening, you can relate to that dot. Like you can picture it. Like the Pennine Way is well travelled. You can sort of understand it, even if it's me and Damien at the front, or I had a coaching client, Sylvie, who was the Spanish lady who was timed out at Hut 2, and I think you can relate to people all through the field, and it's exciting and it's an interesting time of year to do it, and it gives people hope, and that's amazing. I had messages after saying, you filled my life with hope for 4 days, and it was exciting and different, and I could see myself in a hard environment and relate to what you were doing, which is magic for me to hear that.
You've gone on and done UTS this not that long ago. We talked to Lizzie Wraith last week. She won the 100k and you did the 100k. How did you find that race experience? What was your thinking about doing that race? Yeah,
so I'd done and won the 50k the year before, which was superb, a peak performance for me, an important race in 2022. This year, that wasn't on through not complications from the spine, but a willingness to do that 50k again. So it was the 100k for me. It was a slog, and the doors that I wanted to show themselves couldn't quite work. They were a little bit too far away. So I just had to settle in and accept the fact this was what was happening. You can't win them all or podium. 3 months after the spine, if you'd have given me the scenarios that have happened, I would, and to be fit and healthy and still moving and enjoying suffering for 14 hours in Snowdonia, I would have bit your hand off. So
I think the enjoyment is the big thing to pull out, isn't it? When you've done a massive effort like the spine, to then be able to put yourself back in that pain cave and go, oh, do you know what? I really still like it here. I still like it here, and I'm happy to be here. And it doesn't matter about the result, because I know that I'm back, I'm here. And and
that was, that sort of hammered home like what I believe in and what the training methods I believe in. And I'd released a couple of peak performances in fell races and stuff like that, and you have to accept that there's variables in there, and it's not always going to be amazing and shiny. But running in Snowdonia was such an amazing event with so many people. Was fantastic. Blessing.
I love it. I love it from the outside looking in, Jack. We toured the line together in Teenage with Altitude. Obviously, we didn't see each other on the day, but it was like 15, 16 mile, really aggressive.
He was looking for you, Gary. You just couldn't see you for that high five.
But I suppose my point is, you got such a range. You're not afraid to toe the line and put yourself out there and go into that cave. Doesn't matter if it's plus 200 miles, 100k, or 16 miles, or even the 5k PB. It's amazing to watch. And I find, because I do love doing my 400s and my 600s, so I look at you and I find it quite inspiring, to be honest. So yeah, it's good. You're a good ambassador for the sport.
Yeah, you've got to do what you enjoy, and we all live with restrictions, and the avenue. How do you train for the spine? Do you go out and run for 3.5 miles an hour for 20 hours? You can't do it. It's more about going into the event with energy, with fitness, don't get me wrong, and with specific stuff, which I was doing, but it strips you down, as Edwina will know. It strips you down, and what are you when you strip bare? You've got to have enjoyed what you're doing, you've got to have learned and progressed, and then the fitness will be there.
You've got to be content in yourself and with yourself, and I think that's where a lot of people in that first 100 miles suddenly realise, I'm not in the right headspace for this. I've got to be like really content. There can't be anything else really. You've got to just give yourself up to that, the penis way, as I call it, 4, 5, 6 days. And it's hard. It's hard to get yourself into that. You've got to be at the right place in your life and your work with your family to be able to put yourself in there. Sometimes you roll the dice and you're there and you think you're there and you're not. And sometimes you roll the dice and you are.
It was really interesting over Christmas because I knew the work was done. The gym work was there. I'd done a long day. I think I'd done 40. And I came away and I was like, right, these areas of the body need a little bit more attention. Go in the gym. So in space of 12 days, I think I did 9 gym sessions. Really good, really specific. And then I was like, let's inject a bit of fun and pace into this. So like I said, we had the 5K PB. And I remember on Christmas Day, because my wife works shifts, I was throwing myself around this housing estate. And then me and my friend Hugh, when he did a winter paddy on the 30th of December, really limited support. I think he's only the second person to go anti-clockwise. And I did a big chunk of work with him. I did a 50K stint and then I did a 8-mile stint. I was just doing what I love. Like I literally was just in an environment with my best mate, doing what I love. I just had so much, I was just ready. I was just ready to go. And it was amazing.
It is a treat. It's a treat to be able to do it. What about the rest of 2023, Jack? What does it look like?
Again, like 6-month spell. So I've got some shorter races coming up in the summer, peaking at OCC, hopefully, at UTMB. So that'll be the start of September. And then I'm going to plot and scheme with my wife and how the sort of next 6 to 9 months look. A lot of intensity coming up. Some big days in the Alps when I'm sort of on a mini camp and just figuring out how my body behaves at high altitude, thinking 3 or 4 years ahead.
Oh, super exciting. Oh, well, thanks for your time today, Jack. We're going to do our quick, we've got 6, so we'll see how it goes. We always end the show with our quick 5 or 6 questions. Kind of added on to the marathon tour question where they used to ask you how quick would you run a mile. But yeah, stick with me. So you got 1 year to train. What world record would you like to attempt? You could either think about this, yes, I could have a crack at that, or just something you'd like to have a go at.
But can it be a route? Can it be like a route or not? Does it have to be like a time?
Yeah, anything. Yeah, anything.
It'd probably be like, I don't know, like 12 hours, 24 hours. How much elevation can you get in, uphill, straight up?
I've always fancied that 24-hour.
Never-ending climb, no downhill, straight up. Some sort of weird treadmill.
Do it, Jack, side by side, women and men's records. There's 40% treadmills. Gary can just throw protein rebel gels at us.
That's it. You heard it here first. Right. Next question is from a patron, actually, Steve Felby. What was the most important go-to item in your spine kit?
Probably like my Innovate mitts. I had a couple of pairs of them, which I'd make sure I dry at the checkpoints, and they're comfortable and warm, and the pack as well. Probably the pack. It's got to be the pack. Innovate all-terrain pack. A bigger pack than Damien had. A bigger pack than Kim had. Much bigger pack than Eugenie had because it looks like he's got a little sandwich box in his bag. And you need shoving space, you need convenience, you need comfort, and you need to trust that it's not going to fall apart. And yeah, that pack covers all them.
Analysed everybody's packs. So I'm not going to say who's the most popular brand of pack out on the spine, but yeah, it was fascinating. Next question is, you were gifted a superpower. Would it be invisibility or super strength?
Super strength, I think. Yeah.
Super strength.
Invisibility wouldn't. Don't know why.
You down the gym, just get that super strength.
Yeah, I don't know why I'd use it.
Go down the gym. You'd be a bit disappointed.
Yeah, you wouldn't need it, would you? Those quads of steel. Is there anything that really annoys you?
If I see like a bit of dust or a little bit of fingerprints on the table, I've got to clean it up instantly. It's just a weird, I can see things now. So yeah, I like a nice clean surface.
Oh, come round. Actually, maybe don't. You'd be in my house going, Eddie, I can't. I'm gonna have to be outside. I'm sorry.
Maybe I know the answer to the next question. Actually, then, with that in mind, is your dog allowed on the bed?
No, I mean she sleeps. We've got a crate set up for her, but she sleeps in her bed in the corner of the room. And in the morning we'll whistle her up, and yeah, she's allowed on when we're sort of conscious, but not in between, really.
See where this is going.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, and the last question is: every week we ask our guests to pick their Instagram story music. it could be left to Eddie or myself, Jack, but I'm pretty sure you've got a better musical taste than either of us. Yeah, what's it going to be?
What's it going to be?
Do you listen to music when you train ever?
No. I used to in the gym, but that's gone now.
Podcast?
Yeah, I don't listen to music. I didn't listen to anything on the spine, apart from every single stream or any water was just sounded like someone on Radio 1 or something. That was just bizarre. I'd probably go like Life is a Highway or something like that. I've thought about Highway to Hell, but I feel like I'm on a bit of a highway, which I don't know where it's going to end, but I don't want it to be hell, so I'm not going to go that. Life is a Highway. I'm not going to
Who's the artist?
Rascal Flatts.
Rascal Flatts.
Yeah.
What kind of music is it, Jack? That's a few weeks now I've not heard of the song.
It's like American driving music. I know that sounds generic, but go for a long drive across Route 66 and you'll probably hear this.
I like it. It's in the Cars movie.
Yes. Yeah. Let's go for that because, again, it's always moving, always evolving. You never know what the hell's around the corner.
So when you came on going, I don't know what my song's going to be, you've pulled that one out of the bag.
Yeah, I had the mind, but I couldn't put it into a song.
Thank you, Jax. Thank you so much for giving your time. Some really super wise words. I know lots of people will be listening to this, nodding their heads, making some notes. And hopefully, I think a lot of people will be thinking of you when they do dig into that pain cave, or they are a little bit frightened of perhaps changing something in their life, and they'll be thinking of the wise words that you've shared over the last hour. So thank you so much. Good luck. Enjoy your trip to the Alps. Go binge on those coals, and good luck at OCC. Looking forward to following your dot on that.
Well,
yeah, can't wait.
Thanks for the opportunity to talk, and run wild, run safe.
I really enjoyed that. There's never enough time to go, especially when we do the first chat with a guest, actually, Eddie, when we do the background story too, we could always probably have about two episodes or 2 hours. Yeah. But I think it was awesome for people out there, maybe who are struggling, they think they're not doing enough. When you've got an athlete like Jack functioning on a lot of quality, to be fair, but functioning on about 1,000 miles so far for the year, that gives us all hope if we just can't commit to that amount of time of training to see someone like Jack perform at such a high level. Yeah, really great to see. Thanks, Jack. Tales from the Trails. And first of all, we'll head over to Strava. And there was a lot of action in the woods this weekend. Wendover Woods must have been it. And Danielle Harris, she was doing the...
saw Danielle. Yeah, she was crushing it.
Cool.
Steady, strong, focused, but still with a smile on her face. Amazing.
I wonder if they did some research on photographs after a race, the ratio of men to women smiling about mile 80. I wonder what the dates are. But yeah, she did 123.4 miles. I love those numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, well done, Danielle. And Irene Finnegan. I don't think she's from Norway, but she's been having some fun over in Norway with 32 hours and 37 minutes and 19 seconds of exercise. Wow, I'd love to go.
You'd love that amount of exercise and to go to Norway.
Well, I saw Joe Meek racing over in Finland. I'm just thinking, I'm well overdue a trip to Finland to see the family. Being a conscientious athlete and trying to be more green, marry a race up with a holiday, that would be a double whammy. Talking about green runners, going off Tales from the Trails here, my little repair kit turned up. I bought it. Yeah, bought it off eBay. It was like about £5, so it wasn't loads of money. So yeah, I'll be doing that and sharing that over on my Instagram stories. Danielle Harris again, Wendover Woods. She did over 23,000 feet of elevation that week. So yeah, you were saying it was about 2,000 feet for every 10 miles. So that's punchy for a 10-mile loop, and that's more elevation than Lakeland 100. So that tells you exactly the details.
Yeah, and harder because of the steepness of the descents.
Awesome. Yeah, well done, everybody. And pop over and join our club over on Strava.
Lee Caves, Tale from the Trails. I was very sorry to hear about Eddie's issues. Gosh. There are many. Which one are you talking about, Lee?
And he spat my drink up.
After running so well in the first half. I presume you're talking about Southlands Way 100. The heat was brutal on Saturday, but I think it's much more of an issue when pushing the pace at the front of a race compared to us mid-packers running well within our capabilities. This was my 4th 100-miler and finally my first sub 24 hours. Awesomely. Although I did start out a little slower, I think the biggest difference was fueling. I had tailwind in all my water and followed Gary's advice, setting a timer to eat every 30 minutes of my watch. I kept this up religiously during the first half and stuffed my face at each checkpoint, as well as necking the Coke whenever I could. You're a winner, Lee. I decided that I was not going to look at the time or distance until I'd left checkpoint 6 at halfway. All I had on my watch was heart rate, pace, and lap distance, which I lapped at each checkpoint in order to time my drinking. I knew that it was 6 p.m. or under at halfway, and I was on for my 24 hours. I looked on leaving checkpoint 6, and it was 6:15. Close, very close. It's a little over halfway at 55 miles, but would still require maintaining a similar pace for the second half. Second half's actually quite a bit shorter though, isn't it, Lee? Again, I decided that no good could come from looking at the total distance or time for the rest of the race. I just pushed as hard as I could. I don't know what they put in the pasta at checkpoint 6, but I seemed on fire for the next few controls. I was running much better than earlier and on previous races and even ran some of the smaller hills. In reality, it was probably more the amount of fuel that I'd forced down early on. I got to checkpoint 9 where I had more soup and pasta a little after sunset, but still unsure of the time. I didn't hang around. Now, in the relative cool of the evening, I pushed on, catching and passing many people who were walking while I was still running. At some point, I decided that there was only one more checkpoint until the finish, but did not know how far the finish would be. It was still pitch black, and I was trying to figure out what time the sun comes up. I know it's like, ultra maths is hard, isn't it? When you're like, so how many? 2 plus 3? No, 3 plus 2. 2 minus 1. No, I can't do it. I knew it's like when I got up for work at 4:30. Bless you. So if I could just make it to the last checkpoint before sunrise, then I'd have at least an hour and a half left. I reached the checkpoint still in darkness, only to be told that there was one more. You're kidding, I said. No, but it's okay. It's only 4 miles and then another 4 to the finish. 8 miles left and it's still dark. It's going to be close, but I'm running, so let's have it. Oh my God, the tension, everybody. The sun started rising. The torch was off by the time I reached the last checkpoint. I had about half a bottle of water left, but decided not to stop. I ran straight past and carried on to the end. The roads through Eastbourne seemed to go on forever. I didn't know how far was actually left. I just kept looking at the sun and the sky. Was it 6? Was it 7? I couldn't tell. It wasn't until I turned the corner onto the track that I saw the clock. 5:15 something. I could not, oh no, I'm going to cry. I could not believe it. The tears were rolling down my face as I ran the lap of the track to finish in 23 hours, 70 minutes. What a day and what an event. Just need to decide what's next now. Oh yes, I almost forgot. I also missed the start because I was having my morning poo and lubing up. Oh, did you? It was such a nice story. I heard them say there were 50 seconds and it'll start, but after queuing for half an hour, I felt this was non-negotiable. I finished off, dropped off my finished bag and strolled over the line a few minutes late while getting my pack on. Definitely the most laid-back start to any race I've done. I love it. I think that's how you should start every race.
Yeah. 23:17. Amazing. I wonder if he felt, because he obviously the race had started, he would have just been slowly cutting his way through the pack. That would have been an awesome day.
Dreamy day. Awesome, Nate. Well done. Super effort. Let us know what's next.
We have a winner. Our Thornside Farm Holiday Cottages competition is over, and I spun the wheel. And the winner is...
I don't know the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune.
I have got a copy of this if anybody wants to confirm that it was all done correct in proper circumstances. But yeah, Andrew Enticknap took the win. Well done, Andrew. Yeah, reach out, send me a message or whatever, and I will connect you with the guys over at Thornside Farm Holiday Cottages. Spend your voucher and go and have a great weekend away.
Remind everybody what he wins.
He wins a £150 voucher, which you can use to stay at one of those cottages. I can't remember actually which cottage Andrew said he would stay at. But yeah, when you do take your weekend or week away, Andrew, yeah, share some pictures. I'd love to see how you get on. And we have got, it's not really competition this time, Eddie, but for the rest of the July.
It's a thank you. Thank you.
Well, basically, you are the people that make this all possible. So Eddie and I would just like to say thank you. Also, what is true we have a few listeners who aren't on Facebook for whatever reason. Maybe they just don't like Facebook, or they can't be on Facebook
Good on
because of
them.
their jobs. Yeah. So they keep missing out. So I just thought it's not fair. Let's give everybody, at least our patrons, a chance. And if they're not members of Facebook, then they have a chance to win. And it's nice and simple. All you need to do is be a paid up member of Patreon at the end of July. And what's up for grabs? Well, all our nutrition partners have supported this competition. It's not a competition, sorry, it's a giveaway. So you can have vouchers, vouchers and bundles from Active Root, Protein Rebel, Vela 40, X Miles, and Mountain Fuel. So yeah, thanks to all of those guys for supporting the giveaway. 5 winners picked at random.
5.
Yeah, well, I thought one for every brand. Let's give...
Okay, love that. Yeah,
one
love
for every
it.
brand. So 5 winners picked at random end of July. Ooh, I'll be in the lakes end of July, recovering from the Lake 100. So yeah, I'm sure we'll be able to sort that out. No worries.
How are you feeling, Gary? Do you feel you've delivered on this podcast?
I am feeling a bit poorly. I think I started off well.
Oh my God, here we go. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
My mood is okay, though. Mood is okay.
I'm going to boost you. I'm going to perk you up. Brinny Emmons. Brinny, this is my Bryn. Gary and Eddie. He definitely wouldn't lead him a 5-star review. It'd be like 2. Maybe 3 on a good day. Been listening for a couple of months. So this and the Run to the Hills predecessor, really enjoy the discussions, tips and advice, but most importantly, the ethos and enjoyment and entertainment. Great presenting dynamic between Eddie and Gary, and even nice mix of southern and northern accents. Particularly like the coaches' inputs, and get a little starstruck. I was currently working with Trish to try and get in shape for my 3rd marathon. She's fantastic. She is fantastic. Would you say I had a southern accent, Gary? Is it not 100%. Just a mix of... Is it 100%?
100% southern accent.
Is it not just an English accent with a sort of array of peppered with... You know, you can get those people that can pick out like all the different places you've lived in from your accent. Because I've not lived, like I've lived in France longer than anywhere else.
I would say you've got a classic English accent. I do sometimes get, I'm not too sure, but I do sometimes get a bit of West Country. No, I get a bit West Country sometimes.
West Country.
Yeah. But that's it. But
I also do. I also pick up whoever I'm talking to accents. I know I do that as well. My kids do that too.
When I came back from traveling, people thought I was Australian for ages. Someone thought I was French once, which was like, how in the hell? I was in a toilet in a nightclub.
No, this is a PG show.
Where was I at? And this guy was being quite aggressive. I was down south somewhere, just outside of Sunningdale. It might have been Aldershot or somewhere like that. Anyway, this guy was not happy with me.
Doesn't sound like anywhere any of our listeners or me ever want to go.
He was quite a meathead, and he thought I was French. And I was thinking there for a minute, well, he probably doesn't like Northerners either. So I'm hedging my bets to get me out of the situation. Am I French or am I Northern?
How did you get in the situation in this dodgy nightclub with this big guy in the toilet?
I just think I said something and he just was like, what kind of accent is that? I'm not too sure. Oh my goodness me, it's going to be 30 years ago this happened. But yeah, I lived to kind of tell the tale anyway. But,
is that why your face looks like that?
Yeah, took a beating. The Pantiles, the nightclub was called Pantiles. It's all coming back to me. It's all coming back.
Anyway,
I love
happy
it.
days.
We've got another review, and I didn't even know you could leave a review over an Audible, and I'm not too sure what I was doing over an Audible, but our podcast is on Audible, and Deb Allam left a review. Great episode again, but found this especially enlightening and useful with all things menopausal and running. So yeah, thanks Deb for leaving that review. And anybody else who's listened to us over an Audible, I didn't even know that was a thing. It's amazing. You pop it on Buzzsprout and then it just sends it to all these.
Does it go
places.
to all the places? Incredible.
Well, I've ticked a few boxes. I had to tick the Apple box and I had to tick the Spotify box and I think Google. But all the other
You've
places,
ticked many boxes you didn't even realise. Ticking all the boxes, away. Gary. Just keep on ticking all these boxes.
But yeah, the cupboards are bare now for the 5-star reviews. So yeah, please send some more in.
Bryn and I and the older kids, we enjoyed the Tour de France Netflix doc. Have you watched it?
I watched after your recommendation. I've watched that, and I've watched an episode of the Arnie documentary too.
Oh, not got that yet.
Fantastic.
And we just keep going to each other. Allez, Primoz. Allez, Primoz. 3K to go. 3K to go. Come on, you've got this. You've got this. All they ever say to him is 3K to go. 3K. It's like 3K at like 29% up the Alps. Just 3K to go. Come on, you got this. Come on.
I got a lot of grief.
Gary.
I asked when we sit down for our evening meal, we do sit on the sofa, watch the TV together, and it's like, what do we want to watch? It could be Big Bang Theory, Bob's Burgers, or Below Deck, and nobody was giving me anything back. So I said, right, Tour de France tonight, and I got loads. As soon as I said that, I got so much grief for it. But
I hate that remote control empathy. No, what's it? Apathy. Yeah. When you go, well, I'm going to then. Oh no, not that.
But they all sat and watched it to the end. Loved it.
Good. Excellent. Netflix do that really well or really badly. And that one they did. I felt they really portrayed the tour as realistic as it was proper. It wasn't glamorized. It wasn't reality TV. Yeah. It was like from the riders, from the race directors who were terrifying, some of them. Yeah. It was a real behind the scenes look at something that I hope I never have to do.
High stakes though, and just the adrenaline and the energy and the pressure, unbelievable. Yeah,
and then you go home for your chicken and rice. What are we having tonight? Chicken and rice.
I read somewhere about the amount of carbohydrates these guys eat on when they're actually on tour, and for regular people, it's just physically impossible. We could never replicate that. It's just constant.
We could try, Gary. You and I could try. I don't think.
I bet that Bryn's KFC had a.
He's the only person probably in the whole of UK that could replicate it without doing the same amount of exercise. That's why he does so well, Gary. That is why he's a Man Mountain, because he's never more than an arm reach away from a KFC bucket. Right, yeah, taper time. Tell me the deets, what you're doing.
Well, yeah, we made it. We got there. You know, I did have a wobble a couple of weeks ago.
Many wobbles. Don't say I had a wobble. It was...
And is it 3? It's probably a little bit shorter than 3 weeks now, because the race starts on Friday, so it's 2.5 weeks.
Okay, yep.
But yeah, you know, look back. I'm trying to be positive. There's a few things I can pick apart. My ratios have never been correct. You know, you can see there, averaged 81 miles, which a lot of people would swap with me immediately. So I'm pretty sure I've done enough to get me around the course, barring injury. 100%, I'm convinced of that. But yeah, I've never hit my 2-to-1. So my average weekly volume of elevation, is 10,000 feet. So if I was going to be scientific, I'd like to be in the 16,000 feet realms. And maybe going forward, now that I've found the treadmill, this object that's been out there forever.
Yeah, because you'd be looking another 2,000 meters. You'd be looking at another 4 or 5 hours needed to add to your already average 20 hours of exercise.
Yeah, I know it's pretty.
Yeah.
But lots of walking. So yeah, about 81 miles a week, lots of walking in that too in gym time. So yeah, there's a lot of just me running a couple of miles with Rex, me going to see my dad, walking to the gym or jogging to the gym. So there's lots of that. 81 miles is definitely not 81 miles of quality. But yeah, I've got to say, I've been pretty consistent, at least twice a week to the gym. I'm fit. I'm healthy. I've got no niggles. Everything is feeling okay. I've just got to take care of myself now for 2 weeks and get on that start line. I would like to go to the lakes or similar elevation and run at that mid to high easy zone to see how that translates on that 2-to-1 elevation course. And I've been looking, I'm such a sad case. I went back to like 2015 Lakeland 100 for the V50 win, see what the times were. I think it's going to be more luck than my ability. Basically, people don't turn up. I might.
What is it? Is it sub 24?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Some years it's like 21 hours, which I'm not going to turn a 26 into a 21. Nowhere. Even that first section when I obviously overcooked it for a few miles, for a few hours, really, that still wasn't fast enough to be that 21-hour pace. So that is never going to happen. But there's been some years where it's been 26 hours. So depending on who enters, I might get lucky. But yeah, I'm sandbagging basically, Eddie.
I'm just letting you go. I'm doing my sympathetic face. Uh-huh. Yeah.
But this week, what we're going to do this week, a reverse ladder actually. So it's 2 times the, I might do this on the treadmill. So because to go back down the hill 5 minutes, I'm going to get too much recovery. So I might do this on the treadmill. So yeah, 2 times 5, 2 times 4, 2 times 3. You get the idea. It keeps going down to 1 minute, and a 20-mile run to hopefully I can get to the lakes. I'd like to test out that 2 to 1 at this high zone 2. I'd be really interested because I've looked back at my Lakeland 100 attempts and my heart rate graph of effort. It's just been like a wedge where I've not been able to sustain it. And then I know I'm not comparing myself to, say, Andy Berry. He's a complete different athlete to me. But I looked at Andy Berry's 24-hour record, his effort. There's a few spikes, but generally, if you drew a line through his effort, it was pretty much horizontal. So I'd like to, and that again played out last year, my Lakeland 100, effort quite high at the beginning. And I'm not too sure if that was my groin issue, which was slowing me down, or I just ran out of steam. We'll see. But I'm going to try and start off a lot more reserved. See if my ego.
No, go hard. Don't start reserved and then build into it, then overtake everyone and then have a really nice day on the trails. Nobody wants that, Gary. Nobody.
Well, there's a point that as you come out of Coniston, you'll know you come out of Coniston and then there's a gate where you do get a bit of a bottleneck. So I think, I'll try and get past that point without joining the conga line. And then, I need to try it out. I need to test it out. Every 100-miler I've done, I've started off fantastic, skipping along, loving it. Yeah. And then it's been a sufferfest. I think that in my
is
head,
normal for a 100-mile as well. I think even though starting off slow, it's just always going to end up a grovel, the last out of Ambleside.
We'll see. But I just think I need to try and rein it in a bit over that first half. I may end up do 27 hours or 28 hours, but have a much nicer day. Who knows? I don't know how it's going to play out. You know what'll happen, though. I'll just go.
I know. Again, sympathetic face.
But made it. Happy to be where I'm at, injury-free. What about you?
It's not taper time for me. It's not really anything time. So I've got a week and a half of a lot of disrupted life stuff. But this is our holiday. So relaxing of the year. So, it's going to just be, it'll totally be what it be. I don't really want to be knackered from training because the days are really busy. The kids are full of it, but also they do get quite tired as well because it's full on. So I've got to be I can't be the one lying on the floor crying at the end of the day. I've got to be the adult here. And they love it. And it is lovely. And so again, I turn the brain off from being athlete and training, even though we've got the top threat on the horizon, terrifying us, that it's going to still be there. And
what is that, 6 weeks? 7 weeks?
It's the 14th of September. Yeah, no, so it's 8 weeks. It's 8 weeks.
Okay.
So this is always going to be a little bit of a dip, but that's fine because also I'm not. The top dress is just its adventure, and actually being slightly undercooked and not got any niggles and not super tired is a much better way to go into that sort of race than to be tired. And I've done a lot already this year, and I've also got my eye on something afterwards as well. So I'm just like, actually, this is kind of like a quite good mid-year little slump. So I'm going to do what I can do. Be really mindful of my energy and just enjoy, not, turn off that, like, I need to try and turn off my looking at my Strava. It's to be what it will be. When I do go running, I'll just try and make the sessions like use what I've got. So now we're in London for the next few days. So I'm going to just enjoy running and doing some bit of trying to get the glutes. Bryn this morning was like, why you really seem to be really struggling up the tiny little inclines. And I was like, Bryn, it's just my butt cheeks are so sore. Every time we tried to go uphill, my hamstring origins were like, I don't work like this. I guess you probably kick your leg more, like on the concrete. It's just the turnover's quicker probably as well, which probably says that I need to do more faster, flatter stuff to pull the cadence up a bit. So not much happening this week. We are handing the kids over for a weekend because we've got a wedding, which is trauma in itself, Gary, because I'm a bridesmaid and I have to wear a bridesmaid dress and I just look like a wrestler with dodgy tan marks in a
I'm
bridesmaid's
sure
dress.
you don't, Eddie.
Oh, I don't like it. And I just don't want to, I don't know what's going to go. I'm more comfortable in a running vest. I'd be more comfortable in a crop top and shorts than I would be in a dress. I'm really
Do you decide your outfit?
Well, yes, but that's worse because I'm like, I don't like any of, I've got two, I'm like, don't like either of them. Poor Bryn. Anyway, Bryn and I are going to binge run when the mum and dad are kindly taking the kids, and we've got 3 days without the kids. So I'm like, Bryn, we're just going to run for those 3 days. We're going to do tours of the various places we're going to be. So
how long is it? What's the longest amount of time you've been without all 3 kids?
This will be a record. I don't think we once went when I was doing Lakeland 50, and we dropped the kids in Wales, and we drove up and we did the Lakeland 50 course over 2 days, and we camped and we drove back. I think we had 2 kids then. So it was a long time ago. I lied, the Spine.
Oh, yeah.
Bryn came over on Wednesday.
That's true. Yeah.
But this is pleasure. This is going to be a pleasure time together. So, but as anyone with kids know, it's rare that you do have like 2 nights. So we'll enjoy that, and it will all be fine. It'll all be fine. And I'm going to enjoy some 7-something minute miles on my watch. It's like never happens. Zoom, zooms. It feels like I'm running really fast, but I'm not. So I'm going to enjoy some zoomies and the next few weeks, and not worry too much that there's going to be no climbing. So what we've done, this is where my rambling was going. I've entered Bryn and I. So not this weekend's the wedding. The next weekend we're back in. Well, we travel on the Friday. It's going to be horrendous. And I'm going to do some glute activation on the plane. And then the Saturday we're doing a challenge where you climb up under the telecabin, and then you take the telecabin down, and it's the person that can do the most ups in 4 hours. So you don't do the downs. Wow. So we're going to do that, and we're just going to leave the kids at the top with sweeties. Just keep coming round. I think it takes about 20 minutes to do the up, and then 5 minutes down. So we're going to do that on the Saturday. And then the Sunday, we're going to do the same sort of trail race series. We're going to do the 40K. And I think it's about 2,600 meters of climbing on the Sunday morning.
Oh,
and hope to make the cutoffs. But it will mean I'll get all my week's vert in 2 days and all my in 2 days. We did a double day with a lot of climbing the other week, and I was dead the second day. And I was like, Bryn, I'm worried that our local trail race, we won't make the cutoffs. The volunteers will be like mums and dads and going, see that? Eddie didn't make the cutoffs on the second day.
Oh, goodness.
Anyway, I thought that would be fun, and a good way in the fact that I can't do much training, that I can binge that weekend and probably not be able to walk then the week after.
That'd be fun until it'll be
good practice. What, for the second day to start the race? It will be, and it starts around the town, so it's like a flat 2K. That will be the worst bit. Once everyone starts walking up the hill, we'll be fine. It will just be staying with the back of the pack going, and I'll just be going, oh my god.
You're going to get some epic elevation that weekend. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I reckon 2 lots of like near on 8,000 feet will be we'll be crushing it. It'll be good practice for that, keeping moving and tired, and it'll just be a bit of a shock when I've been back over here traveling, dump the kids, go. But again, I look at that as all good practice. Tired, don't want to do it, just don't think about it. Don't think, just do.
Oh yeah, I think that makes a difference when you just get out there and do it. It's so easy just to go, I'm not going to do it. Awesome. Man, that sounds fantastic. Well, I hope this little island serves you well, Eddie, and your...
Oh, I love being back, sort of.
And we got sunshine too.
Sunshine.
I do love our capital though. Enjoy it. It's a treat.
What a treat.
That's it. We are done for another week. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. If you did, please take a look.
Hopefully you did.
Fingers crossed. If you did, please take a look at Patreon. Loads of great deals over there. You save a few quid, we can put some money in the meter too. Thanks to our partners and patrons, new and old. Be kind to your future self. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and give us a share. Also, tell your mates.
Tell your mates. Oh, I don't really have any mates to tell, Gary, but tell you what, I did pick up magazine with me in the centerfold this week in Smith's, and I showed it to the kids. I was like, look, there's a magazine. There's your mum in it. Mum, can we get that colouring book or the chewing gum? Okay, yeah. We're moving on. Somebody asked me that question actually, was what do you tell your kids and how do they react when you go and do like these massive events? And I was like, I don't really tell them and they're not really bothered. No. At the actual they have no, and probably like lots of people listening, they have a twin like we all do. They have their mum, their dad going off and running these long distances. It's totally normal. Like, it's just what they do. It's nothing that they don't fear it, because they were like, well, your kid's not really scared. And I was like, no, because I think it's just, it's normality to them that's what mums and dads do. And that's just, we're in such a little niche that we kind of think as well, that is kind of normal. And then when you come out and you realise, there's only about 1% of us that actually interested.
It is normal.
World, Gary.
I love it that that's normal for my kids, whether they do it now or some point in their life. They might not even, like Jack said, you don't have to go running. Just find something you like and do it. I think
exactly. I love that. And I love that my kids are totally not interested really at all. They just want mum home, grilling the fish fingers and whining.
Did you ruin them though?
Butt cheeks.
When mine were young, I'd drag them off to these places to watch sweaty dad run past for like a second.
They probably would have watched more if we were in England, but because I've raced quite a bit back here, or the races are not local to us, so I just go and do them. They're not that bothered. But they also love it because they're heavily involved in competitive sport themselves. So they kind of, and I think it's a bit different. If you raced over in France on the trails, everyone gets, all the alley. Yeah. They love all that. They like the shouting and all that sort of stuff. There's a bit more, that's kind of like what you do as people go through your village. It's not like, shh, don't wake everybody up. They'll be raging. Yeah. You've parked in Mrs. Goggins' space. You always park there on a Saturday. Anyway, we've digressed again. Got to get on. Stay safe on the trails. Run wise, run well. Don't overdo it. Or if you do it hard, don't do it half-fast here. Listen to your body as well as your favourite podcast. Make sure you refuel with your favorite brew. I tell you what, getting a good brew in London is a tough gig these days, Gary. It's meant to be the home of tea, and everywhere they give it to me. It's like been epically dark. It's been like grey. What is going on? Shout me up. Where can I just want a cuppa? I tell you where you can get a good cuppa. Peter Jones.
I've never heard of Peter
tea. Jones. What? Yeah, of course you haven't. Yep. Peter Jones, the best cafe in London. It's like level 8 it's like John Lewis. It's on Sloane Square.
Oh, that's why I've never heard of it. Yeah. God's sake.
You don't have to go to the shop, but you can go round all the shop and the kids can play with everything in the shop and pretend they're like in bed in the bedroom and play with the iPhones and stuff. Top floor, you get the most amazing view of London. Only old people go there, Gary. So I'm really happy. And you get a scone, fruit, cream, butter, and a pot of tea, of which I got 3.5 cups out of for £4.95. I would say that's a steal. The other cups of tea I've had from, I will not name their establishments, have been minging. And I bought my tea flask and I left it on the aeroplane. I know. What a tragedy.
If you found somebody else's tea flask, would you use it?
Not this one, Gary. This one I've had for years. It's like, inside, it's like encrusted brown. But I loved it because it was long and thin, so it fitted in. I used to take it skiing because it fitted in like the water bottle holder, and then it just had a little button and you could flip it. It kept the tea warm, but it wasn't super warm. I saw it on the floor as we were going to land, and I thought, must get that back in my rucksack. Going into London, Bryn, I left my favourite flat. Travesty.
I found a cafe where all the taxi people were parked up. I think they would do a good cuppa.
Oh, yeah, they would. They probably do an egg roll as well. Anyway, my name is Edwina Sutton.
And I'm Gary Thwaites.
And that was a very waffling episode 30 of Tea and Trails.